Are money makers. So make sure that we are taking good notes. And then here's the other thing. Okay. You know how they say that knowledge is power? That's a bunch of BS. Okay. Knowledge is great. Knowledge is great. It really is. It's good. But it is just potential. Okay. It's the implementation that truly creates the power. Okay. Let me see if I can move this laptop over too so I can look at the virtual world. Nope. Implementation is the power. It's the implementation that truly creates the power, my man. All right, let's see if we can make this work.
Well, I've been doing this couple of days since they like for a week now. They showed me your video on the Google.
Mm-hmm.
Your term and whole and needs analysis.
Yeah.
Dude, that's it. That's
my
playlist. That's been my playlist last week. Like it's such a great presentation, and you definitely deserve an
Oscar. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my acting days are gone, so they've been pretty much involving this place only. No, I'm kidding.
Bring Hollywood to the
No, it is a good video. I mean, to be honest with you, still to this day, I'll watch it too, and I'll be like, all right, I was pretty spot on.
You made it in 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020. Yep. Exactly. Yep. And virtual world doesn't even know what you're talking about because they don't have that video. So it's the way we do like the term and whole and stuff like that. So, but hey, I'll tell you what, I'll just go ahead and get started. If someone hops on a few minutes late, that's fine. I actually have another meeting at 2, so I need to run and gun, and I'll be able to, what I've done basically, and just those of you guys that don't know me as well, Giovanni Vacca, I was actually the top producer in the company 2017, 2018, and definitely from a company standpoint, over in Arius, we had 13 different offices. So, and there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and they were the highest level. We smashed every single record in company history in Little Pittsburgh. So when you were number one over there, it was a big deal. You were number one in the company, right? So that was huge. March Madness winning it over there was a little different. You won a car, you know what I mean? So it was, we'll get there. Wait till you see, we did 15,000 this year. Maybe next year we'll do a car, but at a very large scale. So I'm a regional director here, for those of you guys that don't know as well, and also a master general manager as well. So today, the topic of discussion is going to be closing. There's no secret as to why they put me in charge of the closing workshop, right? I love the closing process. And I'll be honest with you, if you came to AIL to make money in sales, then I hate to tell you, but you made the wrong decision, okay? You don't make a dime in sales. Okay, so if you thought you were going to make a ton of money in sales, you don't make anything in sales. Okay, you make money when you close. Closing is everything. Closing is the absolute most important thing out there. And we close on a day-to-day. It's not just work. Okay. Even to get this position, I'm sure during the interview process, you had to close. You know, some people that work for other companies, in order for them to get a raise, they got to close their manager on getting a raise. Like closing is everything. If you're trying to, you know, ask a girl on a date, you know, that's kind of like closing, right? So like it's literally everything is closing. Okay. Not just the sales, but what is the definition of sales? What is the definition of closing? It is the transfer of belief, right? They say that the eyes are the window to a man or a woman's soul. So you got to be able to believe and look these people in the eye and tell them the deal, right? You have to be 110% sold yourself. That's the first thing I'm going to go over, guys. You have to 110% be sold on three things. Okay, because they buy you, the company, and then the product. So you have to be sold on, guess what? You, the company, and then the product. You have to be sold in that order. All right. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard, you know, that person's such a good salesperson, he could sell ice to an Eskimo. Well, I wouldn't be able to sell ice to an Eskimo because I don't feel that an Eskimo needs ice. Right? I wouldn't be able to sell prescription drugs to people because I don't feel like people should be taking prescriptions. It's not what I'm sold on. Okay. This is something you can get sold on 110%. Think about it. People will spend money on a Louis Vuitton belt. They'll spend money on shoes, spend money on a Mercedes Benz, spend money on areas that they feel are more important, but there's nothing more important than their family, right? Nothing. And they're going to try and allocate their money in areas that they think are more important, but there's nothing more important than their family. Okay. So being sold on these three things, I mean, it takes time to be able to get sold, but you got to think about it. How do you become sold on yourself? Well, you need to maintain and obtain a multiple reps in order to gain confidence, because what they buy is you, but they buy a confident you, right? So you have to rep it out. I always tell people, my guys, and I tell them, I say, listen, if you balled out, you did all you possibly can. You knew your script inside and out. You knew your rebuttals. You were crushing it. You went back and forth for 20, 30 minutes and they didn't buy. Well, you know what? Shame on them. Okay. But if you're stumbling through stuff, you're messing up your rebuttals, right? They don't buy, shame on you, right? So in order to gain confidence on yourself and start to get sold on yourself, dude, you got to act like you are the best. Even if you're not, you might not even be half as good as Tommy right now. Obviously, you know, you haven't been here very long, but you have to act like you are the best. You have to exude confidence and you have to project yourself in a confident way, right? You have to speak confidently, right? You have to read up on your information, on your books, on your insurance, on everything. You should know this stuff inside and out, rep it out multiple times so that you can go in there and exude that confidence, okay? I feel like when I get a lead pack, I swear to you, if I see Joe and Mary, I'm like, dude, if it's up to me, it'll be. I'm like, dude, I got Joe and Mary in this area for a reason. I'm the man that's supposed to be getting this person taken care of. Like, you got to be sold on yourself. And people think like, oh, life insurance. Like, how many of you guys, you know, obviously, how many of you guys, you know, when you were a kid said, I want to be a life insurance agent? Probably not most of us, right? But you have to, like, literally, we're talking about death. Like, people are scared to talk about death or something, like it's a bad thing, you know? So the life insurance, you got to be sold on yourself. The second thing you're sold on is you got to be sold on the company. I don't know about you, but I'm very sold on this company. So freaking sold, like detrimental if they don't have our company products, right? If they don't have our company. Dude, think about this. Put this into perspective, okay? So we opened up the doors, right? We smashed every single record in company history in Pittsburgh, little Pittsburgh. Come out here, we know it's bigger, better than ever, right? We come out here excited, and then bam, pandemic hits us, right? I think it was Darwin that said this, but Darwin said that it wasn't the animals that were the most beautiful. wasn't the animals that were the heaviest, the strongest, the fastest that lived the longest, right? It was those that were the most adaptable that lived the longest. So I was super impressed when the pandemic hit. What did the company do? Within 9 days, not 9 months, 9 days, they literally adapted and went from being the largest provider of benefits in person, that's all we knew how to do it, to literally within 9 days transferring over and adapting over to all virtual. Now we're the largest provider of benefits virtually. Dude, talk about being sold on the company. Talk about being sold. Well, I'm not knocking any other company, but I have a lot of business owners, friends that literally don't have their business anymore because of the pandemic, right? A lot of people during the pandemic, you guys saw a lot of companies either went under or maybe they stayed above float. We didn't just stay above float. Dude, our world record for our company was $7 million in 1 week. That's a lot for a whole company to do, right? In a year. We did it in 1 week, right? During the pandemic, when we transferred over, we did $9 million. We beat our all-time record by $2 million during the freaking pandemic in 1 week. Crazy, right? So recession proof, depression proof. We're in Chicago, so I like to say bulletproof. But this place is not going anywhere. Okay, so you got to be sold on the company. You got to be sold on our culture. You got to be sold on the way we do things, right? The third thing they buy is our products. You have to be sold 110% on our products. Okay, you have to be, because the thing is, and once again, not knocking any other company, but we don't have any of those benefits that are solely dependent on the stock market or those policies that terminate after a certain amount of time. We just don't have it, right? So what happens, imagine, I'm just using the pandemic for an example, because a true test of a company, of products, is their durability. Like if I was trying to test how strong that table was right there, I would literally try to break it because I'm trying to see how durable it is, right? So when I bring up the pandemic or recessions or things like that, the reason why I bring that up is because a true test of a strong company, strong products, is when things hit the fan, right? You're still standing. That's how you know you're durable, right? So during that time frame, there's a lot of people that literally lost their jobs. And unfortunately, they would go to their policies from other companies and there wouldn't be anything left because the stock market had crashed. Or maybe their family members had died during the pandemic or whatever. God forbid that were to happen. That's an example I'm going to use, but they pass away, they die, right? And they go to check their policy to pay for the funeral and things of that sort, and there's nothing there, right? Our company, it's not going to happen. We have 110% guaranteed going to ride with them forever. That's why they call it whole life, because it rides you for your whole life, right? So that's huge, guys. That's huge. You got to be sold on this. And the other thing too, you know why I'm so sold on this as well, is here's the thing. I just bought this phone. Yeah, of course, I love it. I probably, I work in insurance. So of course I got the insurance on my phone. But here's the thing. People will get insurance on their phone in case their cell phone breaks, right? People will get insurance on their car if the car breaks down, right? People will get homeowners insurance on their home in case, God forbid, there's a flood, right? But here's the thing. They're going to try and tell me that they don't have life insurance on Joe, on the husband. Last time I checked, if my screen cracks, I can replace that. I can fix that. If my car breaks down, yeah, as bad as that sucks, I can fix that. I can replace that. As horrible as it sounds, if your house burnt down or someone's house burnt down, as horrible as that sounds, we can replace that stuff. Okay. Joe, on the other hand, he gets a cut on his hand. Yeah, we can replace that. He breaks his leg. We put him in a cast. He's cool. He's good. But the second his heart stops beating, dude, that is what's called irreplaceable. Without Joe, without Mary, without them together making the income that they do, without them, dude, there wouldn't be a cell phone, right? Without them, there wouldn't be a car. Without them, there wouldn't be a home. So the most important thing, no matter what, is we always have to protect the source. That's the husband and wife. We have to 110%, right? I even have a suit. I got a custom suit, and on the inside, it literally says a salesman is a sold man. You got to be sold, right? It's to the point where literally, like, if I don't enroll somebody, I swear to you, I literally lose sleep at the end of the night. I'm like beating myself up. It has to be to the point where it is detrimental whether they don't have it or not. Okay, whether they do enroll or they don't, it has to be detrimental. It's a big deal, right? I'll ask you guys real quick. Who do you think the best salespeople, before we get to the next topic, who do you think the best salespeople on planet Earth are? The best of the best. The best salespeople. Looking for a solution for all. That's a great guys. Looking for like a name in particular, like, you know, it could be lawyers, it could be doctors, it could be insurance agents, you know, it could be, you know, females, it could be, you know, whatever. The best salespeople on planet Earth. Car sales? Good. I like that you're guessing.
Wait, actually, I know this one. It's jewelry.
He's just saying everything.
Diamonds. Somebody actually told me that because diamonds
last forever. That was good.
they're just a rock, something that
Yeah.
has no value,
Yeah,
but
but
has
you-
the most value. Like you're selling something that somebody don't need.
Yeah,
heard that
yeah,
before.
yeah. Hey, that's a really good guess.
Yeah.
So the answer is, I don't know if you have kids on the screen, but the answer is kids. Kids, you know why? Is because they are so unreasonable. They literally will cry and, excuse my language, bitch and complain until they get that lollipop. Like they think they're gonna die if they don't get that lollipop, right? They're so, and they sell their parents all day, right? So I'm not saying we need to cry and bitch and complain until they get a policy, but you have to be unreasonable. You have to be the first, it's sell or be sold. They're gonna either sell you on why they don't need it, or you're gonna sell them on why they do need it, right? So you gotta be sold, right? So next thing, okay? Next thing is gonna be control, okay? Control is the most important thing on planet Earth when it comes to the close and when it comes to, you know, sitting with people. Control, most important thing. You don't even have to say things in the most ideal way. If you have the control, they'll listen to you. And if they listen to you, the stuff sells itself, okay? Because we're losing. Dude, we're losing. Like a lot of times we will lose the battle that we face. Remember, it's sell or be sold. And so, you know, if they sell you on why they don't need it, we're losing, right? So you become what? You become a loser, right? Loser. Well, how do you take a loser and turn him or her into a closer? What do? You put a C in front of it. That's how you become a closer, right? Coffee is for closes. So the C, I'm not trying to trick you. The C stands for what? Not coffee. Not coffee. It's not coffee. Huh? No, I just said it. Control, right? Control is everything. See how when Melissa got on, she said, can you hear me? Can you see me? Okay, good. I know that we got the control. Remember in the team, in the agency huddle, she said that for a reason because we always say that at the beginning, right? The first thing you say is real quick, can you hear me? I'm not like, hey, Joe, how's it going? No, dude, no. You say, hey, real quick, can you hear me? Like stern. Like, dude, if a police officer comes to your door and he goes, hey, how's it going? Can I get your license and your registration, please? You'd be like, is this dude a real cop? You're like, what the hell is this guy? Right? No, instead he goes up, he's like, license registration. I'm like, all right, buddy, I got you. Right? So you just get it. You just listen, right? Like a doctor comes in, the doctor is busy, important, in control. The doctor says, put your hands up, do this, do that, you know, cough or whatever, you know, like you just do what they say, right? You have to have the control and you need to set the stage properly. So a couple things for control that are vital. Okay, so, hey, real quick, can you hear me? Yes. They say yes. Can you see me? Yes. Okay, Joe and Mary, right? Yes. The reason why I'm getting these yeses early on is because psychology tells you when you get these small little yeses in the beginning and throughout, they've been saying yes all day. Do you think at the end, yes, yes, yes. When you tell them for the check and you think they're going to say no, right? Psychology tells you when you get these little yeses throughout, you're going to get the big yes at the end. So the first thing is you need to get those yeses, right? Yeah. You hear me? Can you say, okay, great. Go ahead and grab that quality control confirmation number. You're going to need that to be able to receive your benefits. Okay, so go ahead and grab that real quick. They go grab it. If they say it's upstairs, okay, yep, go ahead and run upstairs, go ahead and grab it. Dude, if you think that if Joe and Mary aren't close to each other, or Mary's over here like this, oh no, Gio, I'm just making dinner. I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. What's going to happen is at the very end, you're going to show options. And yeah, she might come over and be like, right, you show her options. She's like, we'll go with C. That's fine. Yeah. Dude, you think after you're done talking, do you think they talk at all? Right? After you end the Zoom or you leave if you're going in person, you think they're going to talk a little bit? She's going to be like, dude, why was that so expensive? Let's just go to your buddy and let's just go get a State Farm policy. Little do they know they weren't listening to the term in the whole life, and the reason why we don't carry any policies dependent on the state. We weren't there to listen. You can't be in two places at once. You got to establish a control. Now, I'm not a dick about this or a jerk about it. I swear to you, I'm like if I see Joe and Mary and Mary's over here and Joe's over here, I'm not going to be like, I'm not just going to be like, Joe, go to the table so you can sit next to Mary. Like, I'm not saying it like that. You can say anything with a smile on your face, right? So I'll be like, yeah, let me ask you real quick. How long you guys been together? 10 years. That's a long time. I'd love to know the story of how you guys actually met. But since you guys have been together for 10 years, let me get you guys close. I know you guys can get closer. Let me get you close, right? Like I'm using jokes and ways like to smile and get them thinking about something else, and then I get them together. But they don't even realize that it's a control thing. And here's the thing, guys, this isn't meant to be a jerk either. Like our big motto is we serve, we do not sell. But here's the thing. The better we are at the sales process, the better we're going to be at the serving process. So you got to master the sales. You have to. The psychology behind it and everything. So I get them together, right? And then I'm going to ask you, I got to ask too. So you said 10 years. How'd you guys meet? Wow, you went into a restaurant, Bo? Okay, real question. Who hit on who? They love telling that story, right? Get them going. Get them excited to talk to you, right? But for control purposes, I make them get close. I say, go ahead and grab a pen and paper. We're going to be going over some very important benefits. You know what, Joe, real quick, your phone, it looks like, first of all, you should never have them on a phone. You should have them on a laptop. Computer should never be on the phone. But if they only have a phone, hey, Joe, real quick, go ahead and put your phone sideways. It's going to make the screen a lot bigger, right? Get them to do stuff for you, because here's the thing. If you're constantly asking them to do things, right here. Oh, go ahead and do, turn on the lights. Can't see you guys very well. Okay. Make sure you guys go to a table. If they're at a sofa, biggest pet peeve. Don't do it at a sofa. They can't be they can't be all comfortable with their feet up. You're going to be falling asleep as you're pitching, right? Yeah. So you got to get them at a table. Okay. Business is done at a table anyways. Okay. Business isn't done at the couch, or in bed. You know what I mean? Business is done at a table. Okay. So get them to a table, right? And throughout, I'm like, can you hear me still? Oh, okay. Did you hear that? You want to get what's called tie downs. In order to be a 50% closer or better, you need to at least get 50 tie downs throughout the presentation. So an example of a tie down is, real quick, Joe, does that make sense? And then a double tie down would be, now, Mary, you can see exactly why that's so important to you, right? Okay, great. So that's a double tie down. All you're doing is literally just, does that make sense? You can see why that's so important, right? Do you see exactly why they had to make sure that you had this today? Okay. Like those are tie downs because you're getting their verbal yeses. And when you get the tie down and you get the verbal yeses, you're getting what's called their buy-in, right? They're bought in. They're getting sold. They're getting bought, right? Or they're getting sold because they're buying, right? They're getting bought in. This is how you transfer the sales and transfer the belief. And here's the thing, couple side notes too, real quick on control, because there's other things I do. I can talk about control all day. I love the control aspect. It's so vitally important. If you notice that your pitch is taking forever, like, have you ever, like, I don't know, a situation like I used to go into the home and kid was running over here, kids were going over there, the dog's over here, mom was cooking dinner. Like, dude, the stuff was out of control. That's not a good situation. You need to gain control and establish it. It usually starts on the phone. You know, the phones are where you establish the control, and then in the home is, and you maintain it by saying, does that make sense? You know, asking them questions. You kind of want to like, oh, what do you think happens at 55? Don't answer for them. That's another control thing. When you answer for them, next time you ask them a question, they're going to be less likely to pay attention because they know that you're just going to keep what? Giving them the answers. Yep. So you got to ask them, right? What do you think happens at 55? I don't know. Oh, well, what do you think? Just take a stab at it. Oh, yeah, go, yeah. Whatever they say, make them feel good. Actually really close. Even if it's way off, you're like, how much do you think a funeral and final expenses nowadays? They're like $3,000. You're like, or they say 100 grand. You're like, don't make a face. Just be like, oh, pretty close. You're not wrong. You're right. One day it will be, you know, but yeah, like you got to make them feel good. Cause then once again, they're going to be more bought in and you're going to have the control because they're having a good time. Right. This isn't something that's like very entertaining to talk about. So what we do in our pitches, we try to make it entertaining. Okay. All right. So as far as the control goes, I'll end on that just for lack of time. Now, the next thing, two tips real quick. Dude, you got to say problem, concern, issue. You have to say that throughout the presentation. Problem, concern, issue. Unfortunately, people are moved by their fears more than they are their motivation. Yeah, I want to make $1 million. That's great. That'd be cool if I made $1 million. But like, hey, dude, if I don't show up to work tomorrow, like here, let's look at this perspective. If I show up at 8 tomorrow, I'm more likely to be a millionaire. If I don't show up at 8, I'm going to lose my job. What's a little bit more, like, what do you think most people are probably going to do? They're going to do the one that's, dude, if I don't show up, I'm going to lose my job. Unfortunately, people are moved by their fears, right? You ever see someone see a snake and they're like running like a crazy person? You know what I mean? Like, people are moved by their fears and they're like, you know, so like, and things that they're scared of. So like, you have to say problem and you have to create a problem, right? So I'll use an example. Let's just say this was an air pump. Okay, Lynn's here. I'm just using Lynn for an example. I got an air pump here, right? I go up to Lynn, right? We barely talk as is just because, you know, obviously, you know, with us both being busy and running around, if I went up to him and I was like, hey, bro, you got I want to sell you this pump. Okay. $50. You'd be like, Gio, like, what are you talking about? We're like, no, first of all, even if you're giving it away for free, I probably still, what do I need a pump for? Right. The next day, I know he rides a motorcycle, right? Next day, he's about to leave for work. But before he leaves, I go out there and I go to his tires and I sit there and deflate all his tires, right? He goes out to his motorcycle. He goes out to his bike, right? And he looks over. He's like, what in the world? What? How? Both tires? What? And I come over the corner all creepily, right? And I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, well, you know, I still got this pump. You know, today's $100, but yeah, we got this pump for you. You're gonna have to buy the pump, or else you're not gonna be able to leave the parking lot. What did I do? I kind of created a problem in that sense. What we have to do is we have to not necessarily create, we have to reveal a problem that they never knew existed. They never knew that if Joe died, Mary died, that the mortgage would fall on the kids. They never knew or even thought about what the funeral would be in 20, freaking, 2050 or whatever, or, 50 years from now, 30 years from now. They never thought of that stuff. Okay. They weren't thinking of that stuff. So we have to reveal the problem. You have to say problem, concern, issue, and you have to sell the stuff out of the problem. So many people are so worried about selling the benefits. Whole life is this. We got this freedom of choice. We're the only company that, dude, that's great. Like we say, we have a 3 to 5 day payout. People are going to be like, that's cool. Doesn't every company have a 3 to 5, or is it like a week? That's why the first thing we say before that is the problem and concern they saw is that, President Bush passed a law in 2005. It stated that insurance companies can legally hold our money for up to 6 months. That's a huge concern, huge problem. Because obviously, when do you think that you need that money? Exactly. Yesterday, if anything. Okay. So what the union did, and they're like, whoa, now I'm listening, because there's a problem established first. They'll appreciate the benefit as soon as they understand the problem. Dude, like, we're all natural. Like, if Matt Hunsberg came in here and said, guys, we got a problem. Dude, naturally, we're going to be like, look over and be like, what's going on? Right? We want to fix the problem. So when you say problem, concern, issue, that's the first step of creating a problem. And then you need to sell the out of the problem. Okay, sell the stuff out of the problem. Excuse my language. I'm not yelling at anybody. I'm passionate about this. All right. So you got to say problem. The other thing is you got to say today a lot. Today. Literally record yourself and look at all the times that you get yeses. Does that make sense? After everything, right? And look at how many times you say problem, concern, issue. Literally, like, record yourself, and then today. You got to say today, all day. Because if Joe says, yeah, we'll worry about this tomorrow, I'm like thinking in my mind, I don't say this, but I'm like, Joe, we've been talking about today all day. We're not promised tomorrow. And certainly yesterday is not chasing us for any of the mistakes we made, right? So it's about today. We're not promised tomorrow, okay? So I say that a lot as well. Okay. Next thing. So here's the thing. I used to think that the best closers were the people that went back and forth. And trust me, I'll go back and forth for sure with people. But what I found out is that people that are the best closers are the people that are the best at being proactive. Okay. Proactive. When you are proactive, you will proactively beat any objection that can possibly occur. That's why at the end of whole life, we say that savings line. That's why proactively we'll say, before we even say the freedom of choice, we'll say, the problem is a lot of people used to prepay their funerals. Nobody does that anymore, obviously, right? We say that because we don't want at the end for them to say, I'll just prepay. You got to proactively beat any objection that can possibly occur during the pitch. And then what will happen is they'll just pick an option. You guys know when I hit the field, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant or cocky, but they just pick an option. They just pick an option. When I wrote the 27 grand, they did 23 enrollments. I did 23 enrollments out of 26. The only 3 people that didn't enroll were like people that just couldn't qualify. Pretty much everybody said yes, right? And once again, there's nothing special about me. It's just I've just done this a lot longer. I've had a lot more. I'm like the black belt, right? So all you got to do is just get the reps in. There's nothing special about me. But when you get those reps in and you're able to develop, like, you just got to sit with more and more people and then learn from it. So you got 2 types of presentations, right? And I trained Vince, and I know he does the Rapport. So I don't know if he has kind of talked about Rapport with this a little bit. But here's the thing. If you don't do any control in the beginning, there's 2 types of pitches, right? If you're constantly getting people at the end, back and forth, you're going back and forth, dude, and it's constantly happening. You're sitting with 12 people and you're not closing anybody. You're only enrolling 1 or 2. What I would do is I would find the receipt of your presentation. I would find the receipt. I would return it and get a new one. It's busted, right? You should not be getting objections all throughout, especially at the end. It shouldn't happen. So if you lack control, right, you don't get any control in the beginning, Barry's over here cooking or whatever, right? They're not sitting close to each other. You don't build any rapport. Dude, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So you got to build rapport. You don't want them to perceive you as a salesperson. You want to show that you really care about them, right? Plus, what I found out in rapport, I usually use in the close. It's very valuable when you, let's say, Joe's dad died, right, of a heart attack, and you acted like you listened, and at the end, you said, yeah, like and you can hear your parents on this, and his dad died, his mom died too, or something like people are going to know that you don't really care because you weren't even listening. You got to write it down. I have a terrible memory. I think this deal helped my memory, but I just write it down if I don't remember. So what I use in the close is I'll be like, Joe, they say like, I don't think I need it yet. I'll just take the chance. It's like, well, Joe, no, I understand where you're coming from. I get it, but it's just call what it is. Nobody plans to fail. It's just a lot of people, fail to plan. And the problem is, we talked about this earlier, Joe. We lost our dad. At 54 years old, you're 43, man. What makes us actually think that we're going to get around to something like this before, God forbid, something, right? So I use, yeah, like what we were just talking about, driven by fear. But and I don't want to close based upon all emotion. I want to close logically as well. But the thing is, when you built the rapport in the beginning, and then at the end, you're able to kind of use, like if they tell me that they have season tickets to the game, you better believe I'm going to be like, at the end, I'm going to be like, well, Joe, no, I get where you're coming from. I'm with you, man. But, if we went to, one less game a week, they're not asking you to never go to a game ever again. But if we went to one less game a week, we'd literally be able to, protect our family, right? So I use the rapport in my closes. That's why rapport is so valuable, right? So let's say you don't get control, you don't get rapport, you're not using tie downs, you're not saying problem, concern, you're not really tying things down, you're not getting yeses. Dude, you're going to spend all the time in the world trying to close these people. You're going to be back and forth, ups. It's a triangle, right? You're going to be closing like crazy, right? Instead, right, you need to gain a ton of control, right? Go ahead and grab that quality control number, grab a pen and paper, build a lot of rapport. You got to build a relationship. They got to love you. They trust their family, right? You got to treat them like family. You got to get the tie downs throughout. You guys are spot on with the script. Dude, you're literally not going to spend any time closing. They're literally just going to pick an option because you proactively beat anything that they can possibly give you. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You can do, I've done like what I thought was a perfect pitch. And at the end, I had to go back and forth with them. That does happen. But if you're getting it all the time, it's probably something in a presentation that we're missing, right? It's like this, like if you're a doctor, right, and you have an extreme procedure that you have to accomplish, you have to follow step by step by step in sequential order in order to be able to save that person's life. Let's just say, if you don't do it right, you might kill somebody, right? Dude, if you have a gun, if you don't load it properly, it's not going to fire at the end. If you're trying to bake a cake and you don't follow the recipe to the cake, you might get a cake at the end, but it's not going to be the cake that you wanted. So you have to follow the sequential order of the presentations designed for a reason so that at the end, you can get pronto, bacon, closo. No, I'm kidding. So I got that from Grant Cardone. He's like, pronto, bacon. He's talking about the cakes and stuff. So, but here's the thing. If you have to be reactive, here's the thing. Dude, they can only say two things. I want to think about it. I can't afford it. There's a couple other things, but mainly I want to think about it and I can't afford it. Dude, I don't care if you're the best football team out there. If you can only run sweep left and sweep right, I'm stopping you because I know you can only go left or right. So if they can say, well, I want to think about it, I can't afford it, what do you need to get really good at? I want to think about it, can't afford it, right? So I would have 5, I want to think about it, 5, I can't afford it's mastered. mastered. You have to have it mastered. Like, dude, the convo shouldn't be like, hey, Lynn, how was your weekend? It should be like, hey, Lynn, I want to think about it. You're like, what do you? Like, I want to think about it, right? Like, I should call you up, or I should talk to this person. I should talk to, and literally down the hall, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I want to think about it. Let's hear it, right? That should be our conversation. And if you can't close, you need to lock yourself in the room with your manager. Hit me with, I want to think about it. Hit me with, I can't afford it. Hit me with it. Come on, up. Let's do it again. Dude, you don't do it until you get it right. You do it until you can't get it wrong. Till you can't get it wrong. Professionals get paid not because they get it right one time, because they can't miss, dude. When you're the elite, you're a Navy SEAL, it's because you cannot miss. You can't, okay? So you need to get really good at, I want to think about it. I can't afford it, okay? Last thing, guys. Last thing, just because I'm pushed for time here, okay? Love pouring into you guys, by the way. Oh, one thing I might have neglected to mention was, you know, emotional contagion. Okay, I talk about this a lot with my team, especially when I was coaching business team and stuff like that. Emotional contagion. Okay, what that is your emotions are contagious. If you're excited, they're going to be excited. If you're down and sad, dude, they're going to be sad. If you're excited, they're going to be excited. If you're confident, they're going to be confident. If you're confident in showing them $500 a month, they're going to be confident in picking a decision. So you need to understand, when being sold with yourself, I don't want to miss that. You have to have good emotion. Like you have to create some sort of energy. If you're tired, you start clapping, right? You play some music, get pumped up though. And you got to get them excited, right? Because it transfers over, okay? So you got to exude that confidence, like I was saying in the beginning. Emotional contagion. You ever go on like a first date and like you're nervous? You know, it's crazy because you're actually making them more nervous. If you're confident, they're going to be confident in you, right? So they're going to feel comfortable. Exactly. So last thing, guys. Okay, last thing. This is fire. This is okay. So before I go over to the last thing, I just want to let you know the number one rule in selling. The number one rule, hands down, in selling is always, always, always agree. Always agree. Dude, if they say that this wall is white and I know it's gray, I painted it my damn self, right? I know it's gray. I bought the paint for it, right? But you just agree with their perception. Whatever their perception is, just agree with it. You'll start to realize, like, you ever hear that the customer is always right? The customer is not always right. But if you want to enroll them, take care of their family, you want to get the sale, you want to close it down, then they are right. You gotta agree with their perception. It's too much. I just agree. Yeah, you're right. It is too much. I agree with you. $500 a month, it's a lot. But, and I go into what I need to say, right? So here's the 5-step recipe for closing. Use this every time. 5-step recipe for closing. Promise you, if you do this, you'll be game over. All right, I got 8 minutes to explain this. Okay, so first thing, so technically they give you an objection and you come back with a rebuttal. You rebut, right? So they object, you come back with a rebuttal, okay? So once they give you an objection, the first thing that you do is you act calm, okay? Act calm. Sounds easy enough, right? You just act calm. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of the screen. I want you, Lynn, to say, I want to think about it, okay?
Yeah, I want to think about it.
Yeah, no, Lynn, I get where you're coming from, man. I'm with you, dude. It's just the thing is, right? Too desperate, right? Say, I want to think about it again.
Well, I want to think about it, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. See how like it's calm, right? Nobody likes silence either. You ever, back to being on a first date, you ever been on a first date and it's a little silent, it's a little awkward, right? It's quiet, okay? Dude, people do not, especially if you've been talking the whole time and then you just get silent like that, they're like, did I say the wrong thing, right? So you just let it go. And to be honest with you, a lot of times they'll say, I want to think about it, and I'll just wait for a second, And they'll be like, right, Joe? What do you think? And then I let them go. I let them go. I just let them do their thing. Dude, a lot of times they'll close themselves. Okay, number 2, agree, understand, and show empathy. Agree, understand, and show empathy. So first one's act calm. Second one is agree, understand, and show empathy. So it'd be like this, like super calm, like visibly, when I'm in person and they give me an objection, I'm sitting back in my chair. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you agree with them. I'm with you. I totally understand. Like, I don't know, I'll just make something up. Like they just bought a mortgage. So the reason why they can't buy it because they just bought a mortgage. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. To be honest with you, you just bought a mortgage. That's a big deal. This is, beautiful home. You guys did great, and I agree with it. Definitely seems like a really hard time to do this now. You just bought a mortgage. I just agree with everything. Whatever they said, I just agree with their perception. A sure way to solidify their decision and wanting to think about it is if you disagree with them. If you say, well, Joe, why would you want to think about this? You're not going to be like, dude, you're going to offend them. And they're actually going to be like, you know what? No, I'm sticking to what I said, right? You got to be agreeable. I don't want to fight with people. That's what I used to do. I used to literally like, that's enough. Someone said this to me. They're like, Gio, that's enough. You're out of here. And I was like, I had to walk myself out. Like, I got kicked out because I'm going back and forth too much. And I wasn't doing it the right way, right? People used to kick me out of houses. Now they're like, wow, thank you so much, right? So the first thing is act calm. Second thing is agree, understand, show empathy. The third thing, now you proceed to the rebuttal. So number 3 is proceed to rebuttal. Proceed to rebuttal. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I get it. I'm totally with you. I understand, this beautiful home that you guys just bought, you put a lot of time into it. It's not a house, it's a home, And, I understand that right now it may feel like it's not the right time to get the insurance because you just bought the home. But to be honest with you and permission to be real with you, now is actually the exact right time to get a mortgage, because the thing is now we have an even bigger liability, right? Their reason why they shouldn't do it is your reason why they should do it, right? So I mean, no, I get it. I'm with you. But now that we have the mortgage, now it's actually even more important to make sure that we 100% have that, liability taken care of. Does that make it? All right. So I go into something like that. But then the fourth thing is close. We do this on the phones a lot. An easy example. So like after that, I'd say, so like I said, we just need to figure out which option makes the most sense to you and which one's going to fit the need the best for you and your family today. And I always step out of the screen, right? But you see how I rebuttal, then close, rebuttal, then close, rebuttal, then close. When I'm on the phones, if they say, hey, will you mail it out to me? I don't just say, oh, that make my life a lot easier, Joe. No. And I don't just say, oh, that make my life a lot easier, but the company does require us to get it out to you, explain and answer any questions. No, because you can't expect them to just fall in your lap. You have to say, so we just need to figure out, are you guys working the day shift? Rebuttal, then close. Rebuttal, then close. So I always, right when I'm done with the rebuttal, I say, so like I said, we just need to figure out. I go right back to the options. Rebuttal, right back to the options. Rebuttal, then close. Okay. So just to reiterate, first one, act calm. Number 2, agree, understand, show empathy. Sorry, that was number 2. Yeah. Number 1 is act calm. 2 is agree, understand, show empathy. Number 3 is proceed to rebuttal. 4 is close. Who can guess number 5? That's what everybody says. Solidified. Nope. We're still in the close. Oh, we're still in the close. Number 5, the last thing you have to do.
Not thank them? No.
Definitely don't want to thank them. Yeah. Yeah. Number 5 of the closing process. Number 3 was proceed to rebuttal. Number 4 is close. Number 5 is shut up. Number 5 is, there's a book. It's called Shut Up and Close. You know what people do? We just need to figure out which option makes the most sense to you and which one's going to fit the need the best. They go like this. They go like this. Oh, and Joe, I almost forgot to. So it's 4.5% interest. Didn't want you to forget that. Okay, guaranteed forever. Okay. Hey, Joe, by the way, let me know if you have any questions. Dude, you're literally talking yourself out of the close. You've already explained it for 2 hours. They get it. Okay. Yes, looks very desperate. So you have to shut up and close. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Dude, I teach this and it's still, I'm like, it's awkward. It's still awkward. And I teach this and I'm like watching my training. I'm like, this is just get awkward, right? Dude, I remember I was in the home one time and this is when I was newer too. So I was already like nervous to do this, but I remember I was sitting with one gentleman and I was like, so what we need to do is we need to figure out which option makes the most sense to you and which one's going to fit the need the best, right? And in person, you would kind of like slide over the paper, right? So I slid it over. And I'm over here on my computer. And I swear to you, when you guys do this, I'm telling you, it's going to be awkward. Like 5 minutes is going to feel like an eternity, right? 1 minute feels like a long time. So it was like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And I'm like, this dude still didn't say a word. It felt like it was an hour. You know, I'm like, okay. So I'm just sitting there in silence. 7 minutes goes by. I'm like seriously, I'm like, about 9 minutes went by and I went like this. So I looked over at him. Dude, he wasn't even looking at the options anymore. He was like this. He was like, I don't even know he's looking. So I went like this. I went, looked at him and he finally went like this. He went, and he looked at me and we literally just stared at each other like this. And then I went like this. I went, and I looked at the options and then I saw him with my peripheral. He went like this. He went. And we just both looked like this. And we're both looking at the option. And he went, oh, did you want me to pick an option? And I went, yeah. I wanted you to pick an option. We just got to figure out. He's like, oh, we'll just go with C, man. I'm like thinking in my mind, dude, it got awkward as all ever. And it's so funny because it was like, we didn't say any words. I just looked at him. He finally looked at me and I'm looking right at him. And I went, and he didn't know, we didn't say any words. Yeah. And he just, and we're like, and he's like, oh, you want me to pick an option? It was great. But here's the thing, during it was not great. Like it was so awkward. And here's the thing, you got to get used to getting uncomfortable, right? Like sometimes it's going to get, uncomfortable, especially, professionals, they stay really professional in the close because it might get a little bit crazy, you know what I mean? It might go back and forth. It gets uncomfortable. So we just have to stay calm. Obviously, stay on your rebuttals, follow those 5-step recipes, and you guys be good to go. Okay. All right, guys, appreciate your time. Let's go implement that stuff. Remember, knowledge isn't power. It's the implementation that truly creates the power. Let's freaking get it. I'm going to hop on my next meeting. Let me know if you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything like that. I would kind of practice this after this. Don't just take the notes and kind of set it aside. Literally review the notes, practice it. And I appreciate you guys. Let me know if you need anything. All right.